Good afternoon. It's Patrick Dwyer and Greg Pool at Aligned in Miami. And here we're going to talk about what's going to happen with jobs with AI. We're going to talk about every job in the United States of America, 160 million workers, broken down by occupation from the Bureau of Labor Statistics.
Yeah, we're going to walk through every level of AI taking jobs and take a look from the forecasts that say it's a rounding error to the ones that say it's the next Great Depression.
Yeah, and where's this information coming from? It's coming from Goldman Sachs, McKinsey, World Economic Forum, Anthropic, OpenAI, organized into sort of 4 levels.
We'll walk through them, but level 1 is 3.2 million jobs, level 4, 80 million jobs. So that's a big range.
Yeah, each level represents a different scenario, a different question about how far this goes and how fast it goes and what it actually means for the U.S. economy.
So level 1 is where we are right now, and it's not a prediction. This really is what's happening. So in 2025, the outplacement firm Challenger and Gray, they've been tracking layoffs in America for over 30 years. Every major bank, every newsroom, every economist uses their data.
Yeah.
And they've tracked every company that announced cuts and why. And in 2025, almost 55,000 jobs were cut specifically because of AI. So not downsizing, not restructuring. Companies explicitly said, we are replacing these roles with AI.
Yeah, now look at where AI sits on that list. It's 6 below Doge, below market conditions, below closings, restructurings, even like the most basic cost cutting. And I mean, AI is not the number one reason companies are laying people off right now, not even close. And by the way, see restructuring, cost cutting sit right above it. Some of these are AI too, but companies just don't say it.
Yeah. So even if you doubled or tripled that number, let's say next to 160 million workers, it's still a rounding error.
Yeah. This is what we call level 1.
But Goldman Sachs asked a different question. So Challenger countered the layoffs that already happened. They measured that, but Goldman looked at every AI use case that exists today, the ones that are actually working right now, and modeled what happens if you scale those across the entire economy.
Yeah. So it's not what AI might be able to do someday. It's like, what can I do right now apply to the economy? So more realistic.
That's right. And you sort of stack that all up, for financial specialists, customer service, software developers, accountants, and legal. And that gets you to about 2%. So that's about 3.2 million workers.
Yeah. And notice it's not one category that's getting wiped out. It's a little bit of stuff from a lot of different places. Few financial specialists here, some customer service people over here, a little bit of software, a little bit of legal. And that's what makes level 1 hard to see. It's not mass layoffs in one industry. It's sort of just like a trim across all of them.
And here's the part that's not a model anymore. This is real. So these are actual payroll numbers from the BLS, the Bureau of Labor Statistics, and Goldman plotted them against the 2015 to 2019 trend line before AI hit the market. So marketing consulting down, graphic design down, office administration, call centers, computer systems design, software publishers, every single one is trending below where it should be.
Yeah. And these aren't projections. This is showing you that it's already in the data. The trend line broke right when AI adoption took off.
And this is the level where most people that we talk to look around and say, I don't see it. And they're right. At 2%, the economy barely registers it. Unemployment doesn't spike. GDP doesn't move.
Yeah. I mean, if you're losing your job, you're feeling it, but not anybody else.
But that's what level 1 really is. It's the kind of a calibration phase. Companies are figuring out what works, what doesn't, where AI saves money and where it fails.
Yeah. And this is compared to what's coming. This is nothing. Level 1 is small, but it's the foundation for what comes after it.
That's right. Because once the dominoes start falling, it's hard to stop them.
And here it comes.
Level 2.
Level 2. Level 2 is the displacement starts spreading into new categories. Businesses and financials, operations, computers and math, management, production, arts, design, media. These aren't call center and data entry anymore. These are degree requiring jobs. So people who got educated, borrowed money to go to college. That's 8 million workers. It's 5% of the workforce.
And Goldman Sachs looked at, over 800 occupations and modeled what happens when AI goes from pilot programs to standard operations. And their conservative scenario lands right here, around 3 to 5%. So that's level 2. But their baseline, 6 to 7%, that's already level 3 territory. Even the most credible bank on Wall Street thinks we're going to blow past this level.
Yeah, and that's the middle of the range, right? Low end is 3, high end is 14 million.
It's a lot. And remember, level 1 was 2.5%. You couldn't feel it. but Goldman's conservative case is already double that, and their base case is triple that.
Yeah, the World Economic Forum surveyed over 1,000 companies across 55 economies. And do you plan to reduce workforce where AI can automate tasks? 41% of the companies said yes.
I mean, think about that for a second. These aren't startups. These are established companies, 14 million workers between them, and nearly half are saying, yeah, we're going to make cuts where AI can do the job.
Yeah, what makes it more interesting is the WF's own headline numbers still projects net job creation globally, which is great, 170 million new roles by 2030 versus 92 million displaced. So even the optimistic scenario has 92 million jobs going away.
Yeah, right. I mean, the net number sounds okay. If you're one of the 92 million, though, the net number doesn't help you. And that's the gap that people miss.
And then there's the thing about the WF. In 2023, they published the same report, same methodology, same survey, and they called AI a net positive for jobs. And 2 years later, they dropped that language completely.
Same institution, same study, 2 years apart, and they couldn't say it anymore.
Yeah, the number shifted, the tone shifted, and people are getting nervous about this, as they should.
So, level 1, companies are running experiments. Level 2, AI starts to become, part of the budget. And that's a very different conversation.
Yeah, that's right. Level 3, the inflection, 10%, 16 million jobs. And that's where this stops becoming the corporate strategy and starts becoming about the economy.
Yep.
And this is a chart from JP Morgan's private bank. It shows unemployment spike in the United States going back to 1929, the Great Depression, every recession since, and right there, Dario Amodi's estimate.
Yeah, the CEO of Anthropic, one of the companies building, the most advanced AI on the planet.
Yeah, he warned that AI could push unemployment to 10% or higher.
Yeah, and JP Morgan took that, and then they plotted that and put it in a client report and plotted it against 100 years of U.S. history. And I mean, 10% hasn't happened since 2009, and he thinks AI could get us there.
Yeah, and that's not saying it will happen. It's just saying the technology is capable of it, and that's the distinction. And the fact that JP Morgan is putting this in front of their clients tells you that, they're taking this very seriously.
So in 2023, McKinsey said 30% of U.S. work hours could be automated by 2030, and that was just from generative AI. So 2 years later, the same firm, new report, now they added AI agents, physical robots into the model, and the number jumped to 57%. So again, not by 2030, that's right now with technology that already exists.
Yeah. I think about that. The scope got bigger and the time got shorter, like pretty fast. So, I think a lot of things we thought what more technically possible a couple of years ago are now technically possible.
Yeah. Now, 57% doesn't mean 50% of the people lose their jobs, right? That's not what we're saying.
No, they're really talking about hours. It means that most jobs lose a chunk of what that person does all day, because it's like 30% of your workflow. Maybe it's half, but you still have a job. It's just smaller.
Right. But here's the problem is that when the company realizes it can automate 40% of what 3 people do all day, they don't need the 3 people, and they keep 2. And the math starts compounding across every department, company, every industry.
That's how you go from 57% of hours to 10% of jobs. It's not 1-to-1. It's a slow squeeze until the headcount doesn't make sense.
Yeah. So that's level 3, 10%, 16 million workers, mid-management, retail, office support, insurance processing. These are categories that employ millions of people.
Right. And at this level, it's not invisible anymore. People are talking about this. People are feeling it.
So if you look at the chart, at level 3, the color was mostly in office jobs, admin, retail. At level 4, it's everywhere. So you have healthcare, education, transportation, production. Every category on the board has color.
Yeah. It stops becoming a job story. It becomes really an economic story here.
And I'd say here's the research that shows you how you get there. So OpenAI and UPenn studied every occupation in the U.S. and they asked a very simple question: how many of your daily tasks can AI already do faster?
Yeah, 80% of U.S. workforce has at least 10% of their tasks exposed, and 90%, almost 1 in 5, could see half their tasks affected. And this isn't about the future. This is about technology can do right now.
The thing is, it hits higher income jobs even harder because it's not the manual labor, it's the knowledge work, legal, financial, analytical, experts. These are jobs that people went to a lot of school for.
Yeah. I'm blown away by what I'm doing on Claude right now. It's incredible. So the floor of level 4 is 20%. That's 32 million people. That's a lot of people. This is the World Economic Forum says 92 million people globally. PwC says 20% of jobs could be cut by 2037. McKinsey estimates 12 to 14% of all workers will need to transition to new occupations.
And at 32 million, that's when we expect to see some ripple effects take over. So those workers lose income, consumer spending, which is, roughly 70% of GDP is hit. So when those people stop spending, you get housing issues, you get tax revenue issues, you get business contracts ending, and then the cycle can really feed on itself.
I mean, we saw this during COVID, like a little bit. That's the only thing we've seen in our lifetimes, 14% unemployment, GDP fell by, 30% annualized in one quarter, mortgage delinquency doubled in 3 months. It was ugly.
And that was 14%, for a few months. This could be 20, and it could be longer. So, in a recession, demand comes back, businesses reopen, people go back to work. The argument here is this is structural. So the specific jobs get displaced, but they don't come back.
Yeah. So new ones get created. They always do, especially if you're lowering the cost of things, right? So remember that the cost of a lot of stuff is going to plummet. So it's going to take less money to drive a car. It's going to take less money to get your tax return done. You're going to pay less for your financial services from us. And so there'll be new jobs created. There'll be new industries created. But the concern is that the displacement happens faster than the economy can produce the new jobs. It's just going to be like, boom. And, can we create new industries that quickly?
So that's the floor. Now, here's the ceiling.
Yeah. And Modi went further. He told Axios, this has been all over the place, that AI would eliminate 50% of all entry-level white-collar jobs in 5 years, not 50 years, that's a big number.
This is the exact words, right? 5 years. We, as the producers of technology, have a duty and an obligation to be honest about what is coming.
Yeah. I mean, this is the guy building the tech telling you what he thinks it's going to do. That's kind of scary.
And then there's the piece that went viral recently. Citrini published a scenario, not a forecast, a scenario called the 2028 Global Intelligence Crisis. And it was written, as a fictional postmortem from June of 2028, looking back at how everything fell apart. And, surprisingly to me, it really rattled Wall Street.
Yeah, I was surprised when I found out Citrini followed me on Twitter. So, which I was like, wow. The core thesis is that they call it ghost GDP, which is AI drives corporate profits through the roof. Productivity numbers look incredible, but the gains never reach like Main Street, right? Because machines don't spend money. People do. They don't buy groceries, they don't pay rent, and they don't take vacations.
Yeah, so that's a doom loop, right? It has no break. The AI gets better. The companies cut payroll. Workers lose income. Spending drops. Margins end up getting squeezed. Companies buy more AI to protect what's left. And that just keeps going.
Yeah. And unemployment doesn't even need to hit 20% for the system to break. The scenario has it at 10.2, something, or the S&P will drop 38%, $13 trillion mortgages, starts to crack because prime borrowers and even 78 credit scores suddenly don't have income to service the debt. So you just have this doom loop with debt.
And, this is a time when the market's already on edge. IBM had dropped 13% after Anthropic showed AI could automate COBOL modernization, which threatens their core business. Citrini, it kind of poured gasoline on the fire. And Visa, MasterCard, software and payment stocks, which had already been falling, fell even more. So, a piece of speculative fiction on Substack helped accelerate billions of dollars of market cap loss.
Yeah. But it was a good thought exercise for people to go through. This could happen, and people should, the reason we're talking about it with you is that we're thinking about these things. Like, how do we protect ourselves? What's the right strategy?
So that's level 4. But what does the data actually say?
Yeah, not everyone agrees, right, with this data, right? This is we just painted a very negative view, right? But not everybody agrees.
Yeah, it's not just the fringe pushing back or people that don't want to the Luddites. It's Citadel Securities called the extreme scenario science fiction. Current unemployment 4.2%, $650 billion in AI capex. Their view is AI is a complement to labor, not a replacement.
Yeah, that was a great report. We sent it out to clients. It was really interesting. The Gartner surveyed 321 C-suite leaders. Only 20% had actual cut jobs because of AI. 55% said they're adding headcount, not reducing it.
And even software engineer demand, which is the field that everyone says is getting automated first, it was up 11% year over year, and 42% of the organizations they're hiring for AI roles that didn't even exist 2 years ago.
Yeah. And so I think that's important. The forecasts are real. The institutions publishing them are credible. But the ground truth right now is that most companies are still figuring this out. And history has something to say about all that.
What does it have to say?
If we leave you with this one thought, it would be this. It shows you every major technological investment wave in the U.S., railroads, telephony, electrification, cars, computers, software, e-commerce, every single one of these.
Yeah, and every single one displaced millions of workers. Railroads killed the canal industry, cars wiped out horse-drawn transportation, computers eliminated entire floors of files and clerks, and the internet, really disrupted or destroyed, travel agencies, retail, and print media.
Yeah, and they all ended up creating more jobs than they destroyed. Just not immediately, not painlessly, but eventually.
Look at where, AI software sits in this chart. It's not just another wave. It's the biggest CapEx cycle in American history. It's bigger than railroads, bigger than electrification, and bigger than the internet.
And that means the disruption is going to be a lot bigger. But if history's any guide, so will the creation that it brings.
Yeah, the jobs won't look the same. They never do. I don't think in 1920 they predicted social media managers. Don't believe. But the question, was never, will AI take jobs? It is. The question is what comes after and how fast do we get there?
This morning I was with my newest grandson and little James, and we were joking. I was like, little James will probably be taking his high school trip will be to the moon. This class, he's gonna live in a wild time. So we're actually very optimistic about the longer term, recognizing this could be some very uncomfortable things that happen along the way, and there could be a lot of stress from that.
So we're not going to tell you exactly, how this plays out. We don't know, nobody does. But if you want help thinking through how any of this affects your portfolio, your plan, whether it's a concentration in a couple of tech stocks or exposure to AI disruption, your timeline for retirement, reach out to us here at Align. We would love to look at it and talk through it with you.
Yeah. And, please share this with your friends, like and subscribe. Thank you for listening to us. We're very thoughtful, careful advisors, and we want to help you improve your financial health.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to us.